guys, welcome to issue 65 of my Warhammer Conquest review series. In a move surprising precisely no one, we're going to be reviewing issue 65. Ooh, it has a number. This one comes with some pretty awesome plastic, some of which will be given away after this. Like that. Right. It comes with the two Space Marine heroes. Come here. Well, first things first, base is the best part of the game. And then we've got these little guys, who we have, who are the heroes of Space Marines. Basically, we've got a guy in Terminator armor. It's the old-fashioned style. I'm not sure if it's Tartarus or Justinian or what. And then we've got a guy in what appears to be Maximus armor, which is one of the older types of Space Marine armor that you see around. It's Heresy armor. Both these guys are wearing Heresy or pre-Heresy armor. The pair of these on GW's website costs about £30. So at $7.99, you're saving what, £22, and that's not a bad saving. You're saving, it's 2/3 off. As I previously stated, I don't collect standard Marines. The guy in the Terminator armor won't look too bad alongside my guys, but then I'll just have one guy in old-fashioned armor looking tiny. So the guy in the Terminator armor I'm going to keep. The guy in the Maximus armor is going to be given away at the end of this video. So stay tuned to find out how to enter into the giveaway for that. Okay, let's have a look at the magazine. Well, actually, let's have a bit more of these. Yeah, we've got actually I'm just going to hold up the camera. Got a chain fist, what looks like some sort of combi flamer, or it could just be a twin-linked bolter, actually. No, yeah, combi melter, I think. Yeah, combi melter. I'll put the other side there. The guy on the Maximus armor is carrying an old-fashioned looking plasma gun, sort of reminiscent of the Road Trader days, and what could be a Crozius Arcanum. So he could be a chaplain. Could just be a power maul, so he could just be a lieutenant or a captain. Maybe we'll find out in here. But as always, some fantastic detailing on there. Both of these models are going to look fantastic in whoever's army they get included in. I'm certainly looking forward to painting mine. Now we've got issue one. We got in this issue even got the standard table of contents and everything from Hatchet Partworks, and then page one we have a beautiful picture of a Blood Angels Terminator from the Space Hulk sets. I think Redemption's often used on the Space Hulk Blood Angel Terminators because they were the first ones to ever encounter the Gene Stealers on a Space Hulk and got their asses roundly handed to them. So when they went back, it was all about the redemption and the revenge for them. I've always liked the Terminator heads. They're weird, but they have a very sort of industrial punk look to them. Very, very heavy, very vicious looking. It has a bit about it. It says, nearly invincible and utterly indomitable, Terminators are tasked with undertaking the missions that even their power armor brothers cannot complete. They're veteran warriors with centuries of experience, wielding the most powerful weapons and armor in their chapter arsenal. Terminator armor is really tough and heavy. There we have a Space Hulk Terminator with a tiny arm. Look at that. You may not be familiar, but a lot of the older GW artwork I think was actually done by their sculptors, and these guys were amazing at 3D art, but often the 2D art was a bit odd. If you've got this, you can have a look at it. If not, just that arm is minuscule and weirdly out of scale. I mean, literally, it'd have to be that big. It's weird. And the legs are exceptionally long. Even the other arm's a little bit, well, even the other arm is short, but it still gives a great impression. It's still a good piece of art. It just always had these, almost every piece of art had one weird bit which made your brain hurt. But it gives a better description here. It's like, only high ranking Space Marines and veterans of the first company wear Terminator armor, for it is rare indeed. Each suit of armor bears a solid stone icon known as the Crux Terminatus on the left shoulder page. Each Crux is believed to have a fragment of the Emperor's battle armor bound within its core. There must be like minuscule fragments at this point because they're still making new ones. Each Crux is a valuable relic and to lose but a single heirloom is believed to bring terrible dishonor to the chapter. A lot of their stuff, a lot of Space Marine stuff is hard to replace or impossible to replace, so you get that a lot. You mustn't lose it, you have to go and get it. You know, Space Marines will die to reclaim Gene Seed, which kind of defeats the point, but you know, it is that important. And a lot of their special weapons and their weirder weapons, you know, all their more unique stuff like Terminator armor is more valuable to them than you would expect. Just because they can't, because it enables them to fight better and they can't replace it. Having just said the stuff about First Company, Space Wolves, which that guy is, are an exception. Their Terminators are the Wolf Guard, which is basically like the companion guard, you know, all the best guys out of each company that often fight with the chapter master, sorry, not chapter master. Often fight with the Wolf Lord, which is their equivalent of a company master. So their Terminator armor is a lot more spread out, and whilst you can still fight with a load of Terminators on the table, thematically or story wise, you're far less likely to find a large amount of Terminators fighting together in the Space Wolves because their Terminator armor is spread across all 12 companies. Obviously, the 13th company doesn't get any Terminator armor because they're Wolfen, and it wouldn't fit. It goes on about Terminator rolls here, explaining that you can equip them for ranged or melee combat just because they're utterly badass. One of the reasons why it's using you've got two images there of Space Wolf Terminators is because Space Wolf Terminators are possibly amongst the most unique. They get the most weird stuff, and they're far more likely to, you know, a normal set of Terminators will actually still fight in a way that makes sense as a group. The Space Wolf Terminators, each one is a warrior and a hero, and whilst they are really good at fighting together, because that's basically what Space Wolves do, a lot of the time you'll see a lot more variance in the Space Wolf Terminator armors. Okay, here we've got, moving on, Space Wolf Terminator armor and Space Wolf Terminator armor equipment. There we go. Moving on, the next page, we've got Khorne, the Blood God. Khorne is one of the big four. He's bad, he's psychotic, and he's all about war, violence, anger, and hate. Khorne is the Lord of Rage, the Taker of Skulls. He is fury given form, not furry given form. That'd be something else. The embodiment of a never-ending urge to conquer and destroy. He desires only to drown the galaxy in a tide of slaughter and to smite, destroy every living being until nothing remains but spilt blood and splintered bone. He is perhaps not quite as dumb as that makes out. There have been several stories where Khornate champions and Khornate warriors, on the behest of Khorne, have moved on to sort of smaller wars that can be perpetuated continuously, rather than just murdering everything and then having no war. You know, and they have backed away to allow enemies to recoup so that they can attack them again tomorrow. Whilst at his heart and the heart of the Bloodthirsters, they are nothing but insane rage. there is a little more intellect there than they tend to give Khorne credit for in the shorter blurbs. He's not Zench by a long shot, but he is the Chaos God of War. Therefore, he does have a tactical mind. He's not purely insane fury. Otherwise, his warriors would have run out and he'd run out of worshippers, and the other gods would have caned him. You can say what you like about any individual Chaos God, but they have a status quo that's lasted for thousands of years. Partially that's because they're all fed by different emotions, but partially that's because they're all smart enough not to lose to each other. Or insidious enough, or tough enough, or, strong enough, whatever, however you want to do it. There is a balance between them. Whilst some of them may be younger and perhaps smaller and weaker, in a universe where there isn't much pleasure, if they weren't capable, they would have been eaten and wiped out by the other Chaos Gods. He's often pictured as a broad, muscular humanoid, hundreds of feet tall. He has the face of a savage, snarling dog. Though his gruesome features are all but hidden by an elaborate helm decorated with the skulls of defeated kings. It goes on to describe how huge he is. His voice is a deafening growl of holy fury. At the heart of the realm of Khorne, at the heart of his realm, Khorne sits atop a throne of skulls. These trophies are fleshless heads. Maximus, enough. Of his greatest champions and their defeated opponents. The growing pile of bloody skulls reflects the victories of his followers. Though each victory feeds Khorne's glorious thirst of blood and death will never be satisfied. He goes on to explain about his two-handed sword and a load of other kick-ass stuff. It also points out that whether they're aware or not, all warrior races pay Khorne tribute with their acts of murder and destruction. So even the Tau. So that's pretty cool. It goes on to give you a basic idea of some of his followers. You've got a Chaos Space Marine there, a possessed Marine there, and a demon there. Who knows? Maybe it's those. Maybe that guy's where those two got jiggy with it. Demonic armies of Khorne, known as the Blood Legions, are led by mighty greater demons called Bloodthirsters. These brass-bound armoured monsters direct the lesser demons of Khorne in their acts of slaughter. He goes on to Khorne Berserkers. Khorne Berserkers are heretic Astartes, warriors who have undergone brain surgery designed to leave them with no feelings or desires except the need to kill. That's not so much a lobotomy, which is what it sounds like. It's cybernetic implants of something called the Butcher's Nails, which was a cybernetic implant put into Angeron, and the warriors of his world designed the gladiators of his world, because his world had Colosseum warriors designed to force them to fight when many of them didn't want to or wouldn't. Angeron refused to have them taken out because he thought that his anger and his rage was what freed him, and he didn't want to give it up, and that's considered one of the things that drove him towards Khorne in the first place. He also had that stuff put in the brains of his Chaos Warriors, of his Space Marines, and it drove them just as berserk. Bear me a second. I know, Maxie, I'm shutting the door so I can do my video. Enough. So most Khorne Berserkers are batshit crazy, but at the same time, if you read a lot of the novels, they also have the ability to think and strategize and that. Fantastic Bloodthirster there. Some of the Khorne demons. To be honest, I kind of think some of the Khorne demons could do with some work. I mean, the Khorne Bloodhounds, I think that, yeah, they're all right, but I've always thought that the frills looked a bit weird. That guy there is a Juggernaut, and this guy with the long head is a Bloodletter. The Bloodletters are cool. They've always looked a little twisted, but then if you want sort of more human looking, that's a Space Marines come in. Never quite got the long head, but you know. The Juggernauts look amazing, and as I say, I think the Hound of the Khorne Hounds could do with some work. You will notice with a lot of the Chaos Gods, there is a sort of certain level of foot trooper, cavalry, and monster, you know, and beast in them. You know, you've got the Demonettes, or the foot troops of Slanesh. They have the Fiends of Slanesh are their cavalry. I'm not sure what their beasts are. I think maybe the Fiends of Slanesh are the beasts as well. For Zench, you've got the Horrors. You've got the Flying Discs as their cavalry. For Khorne, you've got the Juggernauts as their cavalry and the Bloodletters as the infantry. But you've also got the Bloodhounds as a sort of beast thing, and Nurgle has the Beasts of Nurgle as their beast thing. They have the Tallyman of Nurgle as their soldiers. They don't have a cavalry, but they do have a swarm instead. So you can see often how GW sort of starts with a basic template and then varies it a bit for each army, which is their way of ensuring the armies are balanced. There's something in my eye. Yeah. So there's pretty cool stuff there. The Tyrannic Wars. Tyrannic Wars were basically wars between the Tyranids and the humans. There are a series of fierce conflicts that raged across the Imperium as Tyranid hive fleets crashed into the galaxy. These deadly conflicts have resulted in the loss of hundreds of worlds to the Tyranid menace and the death of many billions. The Tyrannic Hive Wars began with Hive Fleet Behemoth invading the eastern fringe of the galaxy. Both forces of the Imperium and Crafold Eldari were assailed by a terror that sought to devour everything in their path. It was to be Ultramar, however, where the brunt of the alien invasion was born. So basically, the Tyranids landed on Ultramar, and the Ultramarines managed to fight them off and win. But say hello. Say hello. They also landed on Baal, which is the Blood Angels' homeworld, and the Blood Angels also fought them off and won. They have been fought off several worlds, but several worlds have been lost to them, and Terminators have been caught on. The Tyranid Wars are basically the original, sort of like the first wave proper of the Tyranids hitting, rather than their Gene Stealers, who were basically the vanguard. It goes on here. It's a pretty nifty story about the Tyranid Wars. I can't see it mentioning. Oh no, there you go. At the same time, Baal, the home of the Blood Angels, was almost completely destroyed by the Tyranids, only saved by the arrival of Guilliman's Indomitus Crusade. Yeah. You've got multiple Tyrannic Wars. The first one was against Baal. The third Tyrannic War was much more recently. The first one was against Ultramar. The third one was much more recently and was stopped by Guilliman and his new forces. My brain just forgot the word Primaris. That's how tired I am. It was stopped by Guilliman and the Primaris Marines. And hopefully we're going to see a lot more about that and a lot more about the Tyranids. There's really been a massive focus on the Marines this year, which really makes sense because it's GW's new thing, and it's really having to bring out a lot of stuff quite quickly to make sure that the new Marines sort of fit in and sit well, and that people want to play them. Which, whenever you make something new, it is important to make people want to play them. But hopefully we're going to be hearing a lot more about the Tyranids and the Third Tyrannic War in the time to come, and fingers crossed we'll get a lot more on the other races as well, because it has all been Space Marines, which has been great for me, but not that great for other people. Here we've got 3 different Hive Fleet patterns. Whilst it's still believed that the Hive Mind is sort of a general thing that covers all Tyranids, they have got sort of like general... Maximus, stop that. Go away. Go away.
Fly your plane over here.
Each of the hive fleets is different and actually seems to act differently, having almost different personality codes. It's almost as if each hive fleet, being separate from by so much distance from the other hives, actually has its own personality. But yeah, it goes through the hive fleets and the different colours. The first one being Hive Fleet Behemoth, which the Hive Fleet Behemoth was the first Tyranid Hive Fleet to reach the galaxy. Inquisitor Kritzman, one of the foremost experts in the Tyranid race, know the Hive Fleet Behemoth attacks with a little thought. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake here. It says with little though of subtlety. I'm pretty sure it means with little thought of subtlety or strategy. Instead, the entire strength of the Hive is unleashed. Hive Fleet Kraken, in contrast with Behemoth, employs cunning in addition to brute force. And Hive Fleet Leviathan is the greatest Tyranid threat to assail the galaxy thus far. So vast is this region, seemingly no corner of the Imperium is safe. It's not just the size of the Leviathan that makes Leviathan such a threat, but the lessons learned by the Hive mind. The Leviathan has learned the tactics and strategies from the experiences of every previous Tyranid invasion. So that's pretty cool. But as you can see, there's even there's similarities, but there's also significant differences with the Hive Fleet. So that's, in the physical layout of the Hive Fleet. The physical physicality of the Hive Fleet. We're onto the how to build section. This is vitally important, otherwise you wouldn't know how to put models together. Never having done it before. In all fairness, these ones are fairly straightforward and you should be able to put them together fairly easily. I doubt the parts will interchange much, but it's not a bad idea to read these anyway. Always read the clip of safety so you don't lose an arm. As with most of the new GW stuff, all the parts are numbered and the numbers appear on the flat side. You see that it's beveled slightly so that it goes in that way. The wider side has the numbers on. This side's slightly thinner, that side's slightly wider. That's so you can't get it confused and you can't get the wrong bits. Again, not going to matter so much with these. With some of the bigger sets where you've got a lot of similar models, you can get a bit more confusion, so it's usually a good idea. Moving on, we've got the painting guide. We've got a nifty sort of what's the word? Marble effect that they're doing on the Crozius Arcanum there, or Power Maul, for the Marble Maul, he calls it. So that's pretty cool. It points out both of these are captains, although with a Power Maul looking very much like a Crux Arcanus, I doubt anyone would complain if you used it as a chaplain. So these guys are pretty cool, going through a nice little painting scheme, which is nifty. Army playlists. So far we've provided you with list units to use in a battle. Here we explain how to create your own army rosters. So it's basically explaining to you how to pick and choose using the point system. Does it use the other system? No, at this point it looks like it's just using the point system. There are two systems. There's like a value system and a point system. The point system is much more simple. You consider to have every weapon you need to have under the point system, whereas the power points system, sorry to phrase it, there's a power level one and there's a points level one. In this one they're using the power level one. So you've got the power system and the point system. One has power points and the other just has points. Things tend to be worth like 5 or 6 or 9 or 10 power points, power units, points, whatever you want to call it. Whereas the points tend to be in the hundreds. You can much more precisely tailor units using points. The power system is designed to be simpler and easier, and is designed to give you stuff to just go out and play. There is less balance with the power system than there is with the point system, but the point system isn't perfectly balanced either. So that's just a lot of fun, and that allows you to pick your own units and go into battle with your own units, rather than having to use the units that you've been given. They've got a nice sheet there. I thoroughly suggest photocopying that rather than writing on that one. Or if you've got a laminator, laminate it and use dry wipe things to wipe it off. What a lot of people do is use points creation systems in Maximus. Shush. Use points creation systems online or type it on their laptops, just because it's easier to have it all typed out and then edit it. So that's pretty cool. Next one, we've got mission briefing lead by example, which is another part of the defensive Corvon mission. This one, you have multiple battles and you mark your victories. Coordinated strike. Let's have a look. Imperial forces of Corvon, desperate need for Moribus, decided to launch a series of strikes on the Death Guard front line. Each of these attacks were led by a Grey Space Marine hero. Yay. The side Space Marine commander leading his troops to victory is an awe-inspiring one, and the victories achieved may be turned around. This mission is designed to introduce the concept of creating your own army list, set out terrain in order to play missions, play through the missions several times, creating different army rosters for each unit. So you get to pick what you're going to use this time. Yep. And it's basically a blank thing there. And last week they went through map creation, so you're going to use basically map creation from last week, unit creation from this week, and fight the battle. Yeah, fight the battle 4 times, and how you do in the battle will delineate how you do. Forces. The mission is designed to be played 4 times. Both players must select an army roster with a maximum power rating of 25 for each game. The Space Marine force must include 1 captain, and it must use a different captain for each playthrough. That shouldn't be hard. We've got 4 captains at this point, including these 2, so you're doing pretty well. You've got the guy in the Gravis armor, you've got the guy pointing the gun, you've got these 2 guys. I think you've got a couple of other lieutenants. I don't know if you're allowed to use the named lieutenant character. If you want to swap lieutenants in, that'd be between you and the guy you're playing against. Space Marine forces must include 1 captain. It must be different captain in each mission. The Death Guard player may only use Typhus in one of these playthroughs. So you can use all the guys you got, but you can't use Typhus more than once. So you've got to tactically think about that. After each battle has been set up, roll off. Whoever rolls highest can choose their deployment zone. The players then alternate deploying their units, beginning with the player who chose the deployment zone, which is standard. Once all units have been set up, players roll off. The winner can decide who takes the first turn. So you roll a dice, and it's not a case of who wins gets to go first. It's a case of who wins gets to decide whether they go first or the opponent goes first. So again, another thing you can tactically think about. It is worth noting that you can often get situations where, I want my opponent to go first and my opponent also wants to go first. So it's not of tactical value to anyone, but you can also get situations where I don't want my opponent to go first and my opponent wants me to go first. Sorry, my opponent doesn't want to go first and he wants me to go first and I want to go first. Or you can get situations where, it's more tactically advantageous to me to make my opponent go first or to go first. So you really do get to choose that, and it is really worth thinking about. A lot of people say, I'll let you go first, because a lot of the time you just want to get into the game. If you actually want to win, you really need to sort of plan things well ahead of time. You think what each unit's going to do, how you plan to use that unit, ideally what you think your opponent might use. If you're looking to have fun, just smash face. And victory conditions. The first enemy player to eliminate the enemy unit gets 1. Each enemy unit eliminated gets 1. Eliminate the enemy warlord gives you 1. End the game with at least 1 unit in the enemy deployment zone gives you 1. Each battle lasts for 6 rounds. There are 4 battles, and it doesn't give you a difference in points, victory, sort of campaign points for winning each battle. So I'm guessing if you both win 2 battles, it's considered a draw. If one guy wins 3, that guy is generally considered to win. We've got the stats of the captains here. We've got the captain in Maximus armor, which is basically just standard armor. He has The captain is a single model armed with a plasma pistol, power maul and bolt pistol with frag grenades and crack grenades. The bolt pistol is 12 inches, pistol 1, strength 4, AP 0 and D1. As we know, the plasma pistol, when attacking with this weapon, choose one of the following profiles. Standard mode gives you 12 inches, pistol 1, strength 7, -3 AP and 1 damage. Supercharge gives you range 12, pistol 1, strength 8, -3 and 2 damage. But on a hit roll of 1, and that's before modifications, the bearer is slain. So if you do get 1 and it pushes it up, is that before modification? No, sorry, it's after modifications. Actually check that rule. I've heard it argued both ways. But if you do get a hit roll of 1, then you do blow up. I think it actually might be after modifications. So if they push your stuff down, that's bad. Power maul is a melee weapon with +2 strength, -1 AP and 1 damage. Obviously its attacks are based on the warlords. You've got crack and frag grenades, which are range 6, grenade D6, strength 3, range 6, grenade 1, strength 6, -1 AP and D3 wounds. The stats of the character are movement 6, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, so he's hitting fairly easily. Strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5 and attacks 4. So with that maul you've got 4 strength 6 attacks with -1 armor penetration and 1 damage. And he's got leadership 9 and save 3. The new armors were of the Space Marine were built to be tougher than the older armors, but that doesn't actually play out in game, because I think the general idea is that they'd be half a point or quarter of a point, or 3/4 of a point weaker than the new armor. The old armors would be weaker than the new armors by that much, so it wasn't worth representing, and it would prohibit players from buying their cool models with weirder armor. So even though the older armor isn't supposed to be as strong and it's supposed to be more susceptible to bolter fire, the actual saves on the armor remains the same. And we've got the captain in what is, according to this, cataphracti armor, which is the older armor used by the Ultramarines and several other chapters. Captain in cataphracti armor is a single model armed with a chain fist and a combi melter. I'll do the stats first. Movement 4, so he's slow because he's in Terminator armor. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 2. Strength 4, toughness 4. Wounds 6, so you get an extra room for being in Terminator armor. Attacks 4. Leadership 9 and save 2+. So he's got a really solid save there. Combi melter. When attacking with this weapon, choose one or both to subtract 1 from all hit rolls for this weapon. Combi melters have really improved in this edition. They used to be one-shot weapons. All combi weapons used to be basically one-shot weapons. Now they're just really cool. Right, the bolt gun gives you 24-inch range with rapid fire 1. Toughness 4. Sorry, toughness is lined up there. Strength 4. Sorry, the T's lined up over the S. My eyes are straight up. Strength 4, armor penetration 0, damage 1. The melter gun is 12 inches range, so it's a lot closer range weapon. Assault 1 and strength 8, -4 AP and D6 damage. If the target is within a half range of this weapon, roll 2 dice when inflicting the damage with it and discard the lowest result. So you roll 2 dice, take whatever's the best one. It is worth noting that whilst you get all the benefits of the weapons, you also get all the drawbacks of the weapons with multi-weapons. If you were to have a plasma gun, it would still blow up even if you shot both modes. With this, if you've got if you're using the melter gun and the bolt gun, the melter gun's assault, but the bolt gun isn't. So unless you've got a rule that overrides it, if you've got a guy firing a non-assault weapon, he then cannot assault, even if he's also firing an assault weapon with it. So you've got to remember when you use the guns, all the rules, both good and bad. Melee chain fist, strength ×2, which means strength 8. Armor penetration -4, which is fantastic, and 2 damage. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. It is basically a meaty beast of a weapon. Ooh, so with the melee, you will get, where are we? 4 strength 8, AP 4, damage 2 attack. So that's really quite nasty. But you will be fighting on ballistic skill. Well, you'll be fighting on effectively ballistic skill 3 because you'll subtract 1 from the roll. Okay, abilities. The first guy has Codex Discipline, as you expect. Battle rates can reroll hits of 1 made for friendly Ultramarine units within 6. He is a friendly Ultramarine unit, and he is within 6 inches of himself. If you fire the plasma gun on supercharged mode and you roll a 1, you can use that to reroll it. And they shall know no fear. You can reroll all failed morale tests for this unit. And Iron Halo, this model has a 4+ invulnerable save. So you've got 3+ standard save and 4+ invuln, making him very survivable, particularly as he has 5 wounds. Abilities of the Cataphracti, Codex Discipline, Cataphracti Armor and Iron Halo. It's worth noting that Terminators used to get the Crux Terminatus, which was basically the same as the Iron Halo. I think with this guy, they've gone with the Iron Halo instead, because I think, actually no, tell me what, the Crux Terminatus is 5+. The Iron Halo is 4+, and they're both invulnerable, so they've gone with the Iron Halo for this one, because there's no point going for the Crux Terminatus. This model has a 3+ invulnerable save, which is awesome, but you must halve the result of the dice when rolling to determine how far this model advances. That's down to the Cataphracti Armor. Those rules are unique to the Cataphracti Armor because they get such a good save. That's why modern Terminator Armor doesn't get as much of a good save, but is faster. Rites of Battle, which we just went through, you can roll 1 for friendly units, and they shall know no fear. Again, you can reroll failed morale tests and teleport strikes. During deployment, you can set up this model in a teleportarium chamber instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, this model can teleport into battle, set it up anywhere in the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. I'm always a bit dubious about this with a single model, but the 8th edition rules make it better, because you can set it up within 9 inches of outside of 9 inches of an enemy unit, but still put it behind your units, meaning that the enemy must shoot at your units before shooting at it. You've just got to be careful where you place it, because if you teleport him in by himself, yes, he's got a 2+ save, 3+ invuln and 6 wounds, but a tank or another special character will still make quick work of him. So that's something to think about. Again, blank on the back side, so you can put this in with the rest of your rules. And sorry, a bit twitchy, and I've been working and drinking caffeine. Got the basic sort of advertising stuff in the back, and then to the back page. Issue 66 is going to have a Plague Marine with it. Plague Marine with Icon of Despair. Basically, the Plague Marine equivalent of a Space Marine Ancient. The issue is going to cover Plague Marine Icon Bearer, Discover the Black Templars, and the Craft World Eldari, so that's pretty cool. Issue 67 is going to come with more scouts. I am going to be keeping them. It does mean I've got about 20 scouts now, because I already had some scouts, but they're awesome. But these ones are going to be different. They're going to come with sniper rifles and a rocket launcher. The sniper rifles are pretty good, and they're very much worthwhile having, because they allow your scouts to pick off other people and to hit people. You know, they've got a great range, and they really allow your scouts to take out specific characters. And that issue is going to cover scouts with sniper rifles, obviously. Company and chapter champions, which is another cool thing, and Discover the Death Watch. Death Watch is amazing. They are a subgroup of Space Marines. They're not really a chapter. Am I thinking the right ones? The Death Watch. Are the Death Watch the Dark Angel ones? No, they're not. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking the right ones. If I'm getting it wrong and it's the Blood Angel guys, please correct me, but I'm pretty sure the Death Watch are the Inquisitorial Anti-Xenos Space Marines. Basically, they're painted in all black. They keep one shoulder pad the colour of their chapter, and they spend all their time fighting Xenos whilst in the Death Watch, and then they're rotated back to their own chapters. I'm pretty sure that's the right one. That way, every Space Marine has experience fighting new weird alien stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. It's either that or they're the Blood Angel guys that succumb to the Red Rage. And my brain is too tired to remember which they are. There's too many things called death and blood in 40k. Unfortunately, yeah, they have an obsession. Okay, I will leave you guys to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And, oh, sorry.
Bye.
Maxie's saying goodbye. And if you finally the competition, if you want to be with a chance of winning the Maximus Armor guy, just comment below this video and I'll randomly select somebody and I'll send it to him. It probably will be cut. I won't actually cut it all the way out of the sprue. I'll probably leave the little bits on so that you guys can trim it yourselves, because that way is probably easier for me. But obviously he won't be in, he won't be entirely in the sprue, or I'll cut the guy I'm keeping out, one of the two, and I'll send the other guy out to you guys. Okay, enjoy your week, guys, and hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Maxie.
Bye-bye.
Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Not sure why, but I am. So if you like it, see me there, and please tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.